Hey there, welcome to Storytime with Stacey. I'm Stacey, and the story we're going to be reading today, it's called Silo's Sadness. So if you have a copy of this at home, why don't you go ahead and grab it? And if not, you can just follow along on the screen and read along. So are you ready to go? 'Cause I am. All right, let's do this.
Silo's Sadness, Savanna Therapeutic Stories, written by Talya Bruck and illustrated by Erin Cooper. Things on the savannah had continued to change and be different. The sickness that had come had felt long and hard. The little ones of the savannah were missing their friends as they still had to stay in their herds. Some of their parents were still not able to go out to work. Silo felt glum and sad as he played outside where his herd lived, scuffing the sand under his paws, missing his close friends Peter the panther, Jerry the giraffe, and Hetty the hedgehog. In the distance, he saw a familiar face slowly moving towards him. He instantly recognized Elle, the wisest elephant on the savannah. Now Elle was a special elephant because she knew how to talk to the little ones. Elle spotted Silo and raised her giant foot in greeting, shouting out, "Hello, Silo! So good to see you!" Silo smiled shakily as his lip wobbled when he called out hello. Now Elle had heard through the savannah grapevine that Silo's grandfather, the oldest lion of the herd, had died by the sickness, and that meant he was no longer with the herd. As Elle walked closer, she could see that tears had begun to well in Silo's little eyes, and she motioned for him to sit with her at a distance, as animals were still not allowed to get close to each other or hug. Silo sat down heavily with a tear rolling down his face, and through gulps of tears and a wobble in his voice, told Elle what had happened to his grandfather. "He got the sickness and then died. I miss him so much." Elle sat and listened, nodding and murmuring as Silo told the sad tale. When Silo had finished talking, Elle said, "Silo, I'm so sorry for the loss of your grandfather. I know how much you loved him and how important he was to the people of the savannah as the retired king." Silo nodded silently as Elle continued, "Losing someone is very hard, Silo, and I can imagine that you must have lots of thoughts and different feelings." Silo smiled weakly at Elle and said, "It has been really hard, Elle, because no one wants to talk about him in my family. My mom has been sad and crying for days." Elle explained, "When someone we love dies, it can be very hard to understand what we are feeling as we miss them so much. One minute we can feel all right, and the next we are crying without really knowing why. We might also feel things like anger, frustration, and confusion. This is called grief." She continued explaining, "There is no right way or wrong way to grieve, Silo. Everything you feel is normal." Silo sighed and nodded. "Elle, I feel like I need to do something. What can I do?" Elle continued, "Silo, that's an important question. Firstly, You need to look after yourself, like continue doing the things you like to do and need to get done. Throw Savanna planes to your friends to keep in touch and talk to your parents or someone you trust when you need to. Silo asked, "Like you, Elle?" Elle replied, "Of course, little one. I am always here for you to talk to." Silo stood up and said, "I better go inside, Elle. It's time for dinner." Elle smiled and said, "Of course, Silo. Take care of yourself, and remember, just throw me a Savanna plane if you need to talk."
The end. Now that story, it talked about a few sad things, didn't it? Yeah. I don't know about you, but with everything that's been going on this past year, with having to wear a mask and people getting sick and us having to stay home, I felt like this story really did a good job of explaining how to deal with that, didn't you? Now, if you still have some questions, you can always talk to a grown-up about it, okay? And for the project in this story, now, grown-ups, if you want to take a look here, I don't have an actual example, but if you have a copy of this, on page 24, it talks about creating a memory box and also creating memory bears. Now, in the description below, I have links so you can go ahead and work on those with your kiddos, especially if you've lost somebody very important and close to you. And if you would like a copy of this book yourself, I have a link below as well, so you can go ahead and get your own copy too. Now, I want to thank you so much for reading along with me today. I know this story wasn't the happiest story, but it was a really good and important story to read, I think. Because all stories don't always have to be happy. So, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and leave you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you still have questions, you can always leave me a comment below. And I also have a link to the author's Instagram page, so you could always message her as well. All right, so I look forward to reading with you again soon, and take care. Bye-bye.